If you're over the age of 60, this message is especially for you. I'm not here to frighten you or overwhelm you with complicated science. My goal today is to help you understand how everyday habits, thing many of us do without thinking, can quietly affect brain health over time. What modern neuroscience has made very clear is this: memory loss is not simply a normal part of aging. In fact, many of the structural changes we see in aging brains are strongly influenced by lifestyle. Large studies from institutions like Harvard, UCLA, Stanford, Johns Hopkins, and the National Institutes of Health show that certain daily behaviors can speed up brain aging for several years, while others can slow it down or even partially reverse it. Today, I'll explain 7 common habits that doctors now recognize as contributors to cognitive decline and what medical research recommends instead. Let's begin. Habit number 7: not walking every day. Walking may seem too simple to matter, but neurologists consider it one of the most powerful tools for protecting the aging brain. A long-term study from the University of British Columbia followed adults over 65 for 8 years. Researchers found that people who walked regularly had larger hippocampal volumes, the area of the brain responsible for memory and learning. The hippocampus naturally shrinks with age, but regular walking slowed this process significantly. Why does walking work? Because it increases blood flow to the brain and stimulates BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor. BDNF supports neuron survival and helps the brain form new connections. Doctors emphasize that you don't need intense exercise. 30 minutes of moderate walking per day, at a pace where you can talk but feel slightly winded, is enough to make a meaningful difference. Morning walks are especially beneficial. Natural light helps regulate circadian rhythms, which improves nighttime brain detoxification. Even gentle walking, water walking, or light cycling can provide benefits if joint pain is a concern. Habit number 6: regular use of sleep medications. Sleep is not just rest, it's active brain maintenance. During deep sleep, the brain clears waste products such as beta amyloid proteins, which are strongly linked to Alzheimer's disease. However, many commonly used sleep medications interfere with this process. A large Harvard-affiliated study following more than 10,000 older adults found that long-term use of sedative sleep aids was associated with a significantly higher risk of cognitive decline. Why? Because these medications create sedation, not natural sleep architecture. They reduce deep and REM sleep, the stages most important for memory consolidation and emotional processing. Doctors now recommend addressing sleep issues through non-drug approaches whenever possible. Consistent sleep and wake times. A cool bedroom environment. Morning daylight exposure. Limiting screens in the evening. Breathing and relaxation techniques. If insomnia persists, physicians advise evaluating underlying causes such as anxiety, sleep apnea, or circadian rhythm of disruption rather than relying on nightly medication. Habit number 5: excessive passive screen time. Watching television isn't harmful in moderation, but excessive passive viewing can negatively affect brain health. Research from the University of London and the NIH shows that prolonged TV watching is linked to faster decline in verbal memory and executive function. The reason is neurological passivity. When watching TV, brain activity drops to low engagement patterns. Unlike reading, conversation, or learning, the brain isn't challenged to process or retain information. Doctors recommend limiting passive screen time to under 2 hours per day and breaking up viewing sessions. Better alternatives include educational or skill-based content, audiobooks while moving, puzzle and strategy games, reading, learning new subjects. Interactive engagement, not entertainment alone, is what protects cognitive function. Habit number 4: high sugar, processed breakfasts. What you eat in the morning has a surprisingly strong impact on your brain health. Research from Rush University Medical Center found that diets high in refined carbohydrates and added sugars are associated with faster cognitive decline. High sugar intake causes repeated insulin spikes, leading to inflammation and damage to the blood-brain barrier, which normally protects the brain from toxins. Because of this connection, some neurologists refer to Alzheimer's disease as type 3 diabetes. Doctors recommend starting the day with foods that provide protein, healthy fats, antioxidants, slow digesting carbohydrates. Examples include eggs, yogurt, berries, nuts, seeds, avocados, and steel-cut oats. Sugary cereals, pastries, sweetened beverages, and artificial sweeteners should be minimized, especially in the morning. Habit number 3, chronic mouth breathing. Breathing may seem automatic, but how you breathe matters. Nasal breathing produces nitric oxide, which improves oxygen delivery to the brain. Mouth breathing bypasses this mechanism and reduces oxygen efficiency. Studies from Japanese and American universities show that chronic mouth breathing is associated with poorer sleep quality, increased inflammation, and reduced cognitive performance. Mouth breathing during sleep is also linked to sleep apnea, which causes repeated drops in brain oxygen levels, damaging neurons over time. Doctors recommend retraining nasal breathing by maintaining proper tongue posture, addressing nasal congestion, practicing controlled breathing exercises, evaluating airway issues if snoring or apnea is present. Improved breathing supports better sleep, oxygenation, and memory consolidation. Habit number 2, cooking with unstable vegetable oils. Many people are surprised to learn that some common cooking oils may contribute to brain inflammation. Highly processed vegetable oils, such as soybeans, corn, sunflower, and canola oil, oxidize easily when heated. This produces toxic aldehydes, which increases oxidative stress in the brain. Studies show that excessive omega-6 intake without adequate omega-3 balance is linked to faster brain aging. Doctors recommend using more stable fats. Extra virgin olive oil low to medium heat, avocado oil, coconut oil in moderation, grass-fed butter or ghee. The goal is balance and stability, not eliminating fats entirely. Habit number 1, social isolation and loneliness. This is the most powerful and most overlooked risk factor for cognitive decline. A landmark study following over 12,000 older adults found that chronic loneliness more than doubled the risk of dementia. Loneliness triggers prolonged stress responses, increasing cortisol and inflammatory markers that damage memory centers in the brain. Meaningful social interaction activates multiple brain regions at once: language, emotion, memory, and attention, building what neurologists call cognitive reserve. Doctors emphasize that it's not about having many acquaintances. It's about meaningful, emotionally engaging connections. Protective activities include group hobbies or clubs, volunteering, teaching or mentoring, choirs or group classes, regular interactive video calls. Even 10 minutes of meaningful conversation per day has been shown to improve cognitive performance, hope, and brain plasticity. Here's the most important message I want you to remember. The brain remains adaptable throughout life. Research consistently shows that positive changes, movement, nutrition, sleep, and connection can slow, stop, and sometimes partially reverse cognitive decline, even later in life. You don't need to change everything at once. Choose one habit to improve this week. Make it consistent. Then add another. Brain health is built daily, one walk, one meal, one conversation at a time. If you find this helpful, consider sharing it with someone you care about. Protecting the brain is one of the greatest gifts we can give ourselves and each other.